This is a time of war. Yet these Americans did not die on a foreign field of battle. They were killed here, on American soil, in the heart of this great state, in the heart of this great American community. This is the fact that makes the tragedy even more painful, even more incomprehensible. Already, we've seen a national conversation commence, not only about the motivations behind these killings, but about everything from the merits of gun safety laws to the adequacy of our mental health system. And I think that the reason stories like this have such an impact on us is because we can all understand what it would be to have somebody that we love taken from us in this fashion, what it would be like and how it would impact us. Can we say that we're truly doing enough to give all the children of this country the chance they deserve to live out their lives in happiness and with purpose? We're not doing enough, and we will have to change.
As you saw there, 4 times since President Obama's taken office, he's had to address the nation after mass shootings, after Fort Hood, after Tucson, after Aurora, and now after Newtown. But after this latest tragedy, the president's tone, at least, seems to have changed from one of conciliation, maybe, to one of anger. And I think maybe a lot of it has to do with that he sounded, like a lot of us, like a dad who had just had enough. Now, he's made calls for change after the other shootings, I grant you, most notably by writing an op-ed in the Arizona Star after the Tucson shooting, calling for better background checks. However, little, if any, action has ever actually been happened or taken. White House Press Secretary Jay Carney confronted about the administration's inaction yesterday. And guys, Jake Tapper was the guy who had guest on here not long ago, who's the one who pushed him, I think, entirely fairly. Would it be fair to say, Andy, that from your group's perspective, you have as much of an equal frustration with the president as you do the NRA over the past 4 years?
I wouldn't say an equal frustration. I think it's a bit of a, I mean, the NRA is a major player here, and they need to be called to task. Definitely disappointed with the president. There's no question about that. You alluded to 2 bills that he signed into law, one allowing folks to carry guns in national parks, and the other, I believe, in checked baggage on Amtrak. Those are 2 things that they were actually part of larger bills, so it would have been difficult for him to strip those out.
But he hadn't spent a penny of political
capital.
Exactly,
no political capital. And that's what, again, going back to Friday, where we were calling on the president, okay, this is your opportunity to lead. And he needs to do it. And I think he's making the right moves in that way, but he's in a unique opportunity. The second term is about to start. There's no reason for him not to push on this. I think the American people are with him on this. I think he has a good opportunity here.
Dom, your gut's always, I have to grudgingly admit, you're always right on these things. Is your sense that a month from now, as I said off the top of the show, 5 weeks is usually the attention span the American public's willing to expend on an issue, even as horrific as this? A month from now, something changed, not on the margins, but on the main here. Will the president get something done?
Yes. Based on his speech in Newtown, the president has no other choice. Read between the lines of what he said at that speech, holding himself accountable to the victims and their families. You are going to see a situation for this president, who has no other election, as you point out, he is going to go to war, if you will, with the NRA. And he has shown most times than not, when he does that, he gets things done.
Joe Scarborough, former Republican, although a lot of them call him a rhino now, but former Republican representative from Florida, said the GOP will lose on this one. In many ways, just like they lost in November. If they don't get ahead of this, if they're seen as reluctant or resistant, that they don't really want to do this, if they're not part of the solution but begrudgingly just go along to get along, it's bad for the party. Politically, do you agree with those metrics?
Absolutely. It will be bad for the party if the Republicans are seeing as being an obstruction to what we all hope will be a carefully crafted, well-reasoned bill that addresses many of the issues and many of the causes that we just discussed. If the legislation that emerges is purely punitive on gun owners and doesn't address any of the other factors, be it mental health, be it perhaps increased funding even for school safety, things like that. We hope that's not the bill that emerges, but if it is a well-reasoned bill, the Republican Party would be very wise to be supportive.
And Andrew, voices on this one. I saw already one of the parents in Newtown is beginning to speak out. We've said earlier in the show that probably the best voices shouldn't be coming from New York City on this to enact change. If it's going to get moved along, who do you think some of the players will be outside of groups like Andy's, et cetera?
I think you're going to start hearing a lot more from Mark Kelly and from Gabby Giffords. I think they would be excellent to be recruited in this effort. We know about the Brady campaign, but we haven't seen James Brady in a while, and I think for him to get involved. And I think if the president or if people on that side of this issue could turn a reasonably pro-gun rights Republican lawmaker and have them come front and center, I think that would go a long way as well.
I also think law enforcement. We know some of the biggest supporters for this, Andy, have always been the police chiefs. If they get front and center with a uniform on and say enough's enough here, I'm sick of our guys getting outgunned, I'm sick of having to go to these kind of crime scenes.
But as you know as well as I do, mayors and police chiefs across the country have been asking for gun control for years, if not decades. I do worry about this 5-week period. What happens?
We take a quick break. When we come back, we bring you the voices of some of the parents who lost their young children in the Newtown massacre. Please stay with us.
The strength that she gave us and the example that she showed us is remarkable. She is an incredible person, and I'm so blessed to be her dad.